It didn't happen all at once. It was slow, like watching a crack spread across glass. Silent at first until the whole thing shattered right before our eyes. What once looked like a brave, unified family, choosing a different way to live, has now collapsed into grief, blame, and emotional scars that still haven't healed. If you've been watching Sister Wives from the beginning, you already know this was never just a reality show. It was a real family with real love, real heartbreak, and now real damage. What we're witnessing now is the aftermath, the wreckage. The Brown family is no longer what it used to be. Cody, the man who once preached about unity and fairness, has become emotionally unreachable to all but one woman. Robyn, once introduced as the fresh addition to an already complex family, is now seen by many fans as the central reason for its collapse, and as the camera keeps rolling. The betrayals, the favoritism, and the deep emotional toll on the wives and children are no longer speculation. They're undeniable. Hey guys, I'm Mia, and welcome back to my channel, your space for raw, real talk about what's really going on behind the scenes of our favorite reality dramas. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And seriously, I want to know, what do you think caused this family to fall apart? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Because what happened to the Browns? It didn't just happen on screen. It hit people in the heart, and today we're going to talk about why. In the early seasons of Sister Wives, Cody was the loudest voice defending plural marriage. He framed it as a spiritual calling, something higher than just a lifestyle choice back then. He talked endlessly about fairness, about rotating between homes, about how polygamy created a bond that monogamy could never match. But somewhere along the way, that message got lost, and it didn't disappear overnight. It faded in plain sight, one quiet rejection and uneven interaction. At a time when Robyn joined the family in season 1, there were cracks in the foundation, but most fans didn't expect those cracks to turn into a full-blown fracture. At first, Robyn played the role of the humble newcomer. She cried about not wanting to disrupt the dynamic between the original wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine. But as the seasons rolled on, that concern faded slowly. The balance shifted. Robyn wasn't just another wife. She became the wife it started. Small. Cody began spending more nights at Robyn's house. Holidays got lopsided. Time with the other wives felt more like scheduled appointments, while Robyn got what looked like full-time attention. Even the pandemic exposed how far things had drifted. Cody's rigid rules, his refusal to visit the other homes, especially Janelle's and Christine's, all while living comfortably with Robyn. That wasn't lost on anyone, not the fans, not the wives, and definitely not the kids. Then came the legal divorce from Mary, so Cody could legally marry Robyn and adopt her children. He claimed it was practical, but Christine said it best. Cody chose Robyn over and over again, and the rest of the family started seeing it too. What was once one family split into factions and eventually into silence. The heartbreaking part, Cody never actually admitted that he had turned his back on polygamy. He just acted like it was inevitable, but if you ask the other wives, or anyone who's been watching since season 1, it was a slow betrayal. One that turned what was supposed to be shared love into something that looked a lot more like favoritism. And, for the other women, it started to feel like they were just extras in a love story that was no longer about them. You know, the saddest part about watching Sister Wives isn't the fighting or even the separations. It's watching 3 women slowly realize they were being emotionally phased out of their own lives. It was like watching someone stay in a room long after the light's been turned off, hoping someone will come back in and flip the switch, but no one ever does. And for Mary, Christine, and Janelle, that silence became impossible to ignore. Let's start with Mary. If you've followed her journey, you already know. Mary didn't just lose a marriage. She lost her voice. That woman held on longer than anyone thought possible, from the catfishing scandal where she was clearly reaching for connection in a home where there was none, to the later seasons where Cody openly said on camera that he didn't feel any romantic interest in her. You guys remember that scene, Mary sitting across from Cody as he flatly says, "I don't feel safe with you." That moment was crushing. Not just for her, but for us. Watching, you could see her holding back tears, trying to hold on to dignity in the face of total rejection. Fans were furious not because she was perfect, no one is, but because no woman deserves to be kept on emotional hold like that. Then there's Christine. And listen, Christine's departure, that was a revolution. That was years of buried resentment finally erupting into strength. You remember the moment, her packing up his stuff and putting it in the garage? Cold final that wasn't petty. That was power. Christine had begged Cody to show up for their daughter Isabel when she needed back surgery. And he didn't. He chose not to travel. Christine watched the man she married not just fail her, but fail their daughter. That broke something in her, and for so many viewers, especially mothers, that moment, it hit like a freight train. Christine said, "I don't want to be in a marriage where I'm not valued." And she walked. That wasn't just her story. That was every woman who's ever felt like second place in her own home. Now, Janelle. Janelle's path was quieter, but no less powerful. For years, she played the role of the practical, unbothered wife. She kept the peace, she focused on her kids, but slowly the cracks started showing, especially during the pandemic, when Cody's demands made it crystal clear who he was really prioritizing. The split between Janelle and Cody grew colder, more businesslike. You remember that tense sit-down in season 17 when Janelle told Cody that his rules were unreasonable and that he was pushing everyone away that wasn't a woman trying to argue that was a woman trying to be heard for once. And when she finally admitted that she didn't even know if they were still a couple, it was so raw, so real. She said, "I don't even know what this is anymore." That silence between them said everything. For fans, it was like watching three women slowly wake up. Wake up to the reality that love isn't supposed to feel this lonely, that partnership shouldn't come with conditions, that being loyal to a system that doesn't love you back isn't devotion, it's self-abandonment. This fallout didn't happen in one episode. It was years of subtle neglect, of being pushed aside emotionally, while Cody poured everything into one relationship. And while Robyn claimed she never wanted to be the favorite, her tears didn't match her comfort. The other women were visibly hurting, and the audience, oh, they saw it. Social media exploded with support for Mary Christine and Janelle women saying, "I've been there." People sharing their own stories of invisible heartbreak, because what we were watching wasn't just polygamy breaking down, it was emotional abandonment. And no legal structure, no shared faith can hold a family together when love becomes one-sided. If you really want to see the heart of what's broken in the Brown family, you don't look at the marriages, you look at the kids, because while the adults were unraveling in front of us, something deeper was happening in the background. The children who once laughed together in big chaotic family scenes started pulling away, not just from each other, but from the one person who was supposed to be the glue. Their father and I still can't shake that scene with Isabel. That episode was a turning point. Here's this sweet, quiet girl about to undergo spinal surgery, major surgery, and all she wants is for her dad to be there. And Cody, he chooses not to go, says the travel restrictions during the pandemic made it too risky. But let's be honest. He was still visiting Robyn's house, he was still going where he wanted, so why not show up for his daughter when she needed him most? Christine sat there trying to hold it together, telling the cameras she was heartbroken, and Isabel. That poor girl smiled through tears, saying she understood. But you could tell she didn't, because how do you explain to a child that their father just didn't come? That wasn't a moment, and it wasn't just Isabel. Over time, we saw the emotional gaps widen between Cody and almost all of his kids, except the ones under Robyn's roof. There were seasons where fans noticed it. He'd talk about Robyn's kids with a softness, a tenderness he didn't show for the others, and viewers started asking the hard questions. Why wasn't he around for Gwendolyn? Why didn't he show up more for Hunter or Gabriel or Savannah? Why did he keep calling Robyn's household obedient while labeling the rest of his kids as rebellious or disrespectful? That's not parenting. That's control dressed up as concern, and it all came to a head in those brutally honest scenes with Janelle's boys. You remember when Gabriel broke down crying in his confessional, he told producers that Cody had completely stopped calling him, not even a check-in. And then there was the birthday moment. Gabriel was sick with grief because his dad forgot his birthday entirely. No call, nothing. The cameras caught a young man holding back tears, whispering, "He just forgot." That wasn't just heartbreaking. That was devastating. These aren't little kids anymore. They're grown now. They've lived through the favoritism. They've seen how their father treated one household like royalty and the others like a burden. And guess what? They remember even now in recent episodes, the tension is obvious. Cody doesn't know how to repair what's broken because he doesn't see it clearly. He says things like, "They pulled away from me," as if the distance wasn't created by his own choices, but the viewers saw it. We saw the way he excused himself from the hard stuff when it wasn't convenient, when it challenged his authority. He wanted loyalty but didn't offer love. He wanted respect but refused connection. The Brown kids weren't just part of a storyline. They were living this chaos. They felt the split before the marriages even crumbled. And now they're left to process the fallout of a family that preached unity but practiced division. And that might be the most painful legacy of all. Now we need to talk about the name that gets brought up the most when fans talk about the fall of the Brown family Robyn. Whether you think she's a master manipulator or just a woman who got caught in the crossfire. One thing is absolutely clear. Her presence changed everything. When Robyn entered the picture, she wasn't just a new wife. She became a dividing line in the family. At first, things looked hopeful. Cody was excited. The other wives were trying to welcome her, and viewers were open-minded. But that honeymoon phase, it didn't last long because slowly over the seasons, you started to notice a pattern. Robyn wasn't just joining the family. She was quietly becoming the center of it. Fans have watched the show for years and seen how Cody started spending more time at her house, prioritizing her kids and making decisions that, whether intentional or not, consistently put Robyn first. From the outside, it looked like Cody wasn't just favoring her. He was restructuring the entire family around her. Now, Robyn, for her part, has repeatedly denied any kind of manipulation. In multiple confessionals, she said things like, "I get blamed for everything Cody decides, and people think I cast spells on him." And I'll be honest, there are moments where you can see her struggling. She cries, she talks about how painful it is to be painted as the villain. But then she says things like, "I wanted Sister Wives, this isn't what I wanted." And that's when the viewers start rolling their eyes. Because if you truly wanted Sister Wives, why didn't you fight harder to keep the family together? Why didn't you speak up when the other women were clearly hurting? Why didn't you hold Cody accountable instead of backing him up, even when he was clearly in the wrong? Social media has not been kind. Reddit threads, Facebook groups, even comment sections on TLC's official posts are flooded with fans calling Robyn out. They say she's two-faced. They say she played the long game to get Cody all to herself. Some even believe that the whole monogamy shift was the plan all along, and she just waited it out until the others walked away. And honestly, watching the show, it's hard to argue with that. Whether Robyn was calculated or just passive, the result is the same. She ended up with the man, the marriage and the control, but at what cost? Let me know when you're ready for Act 6. Cody's isolation and the emotional reckoning, where we bring this painful journey to its breaking point. After everything collapsed, Janelle didn't jump into a flashy new life. She didn't rush to post a glowing rebrand or pose with a new man. Number. Janelle quietly picked up the broken pieces and tried to do something bold, something real. She moved east and set her sights on starting over a farm. A fresh beginning, a chance to finally build something for herself, but starting from scratch is never as romantic as it sounds. Is it? The land she chose held promise, but no infrastructure, no utilities, no home, just a raw patch of earth filled with hope and heavy reality. She talked openly about her dream, calling it a place for healing, but as time passed, it became clear this was more than just a land project. It was Janelle's way of reclaiming her independence, even if it meant struggling in silence. There's a stillness in Janelle's journey that hits you. Her posts grew quieter. The joy looked more measured. She shared glimpses, visits with her kids, hard work on the property. But behind the smiles, you could almost feel the exhaustion, the grief. She lost a child. She lost a marriage. She lost the structure that shaped her entire adult life. And now, out on this undeveloped land, she's facing everything alone, and yet she's still standing. That's the part that gets me. Janelle doesn't sell healing. Like it's a product, she lives it. It's messy. It's tiring. It's brave. And while she may not have all the answers or even a fully built house, she's building something far more powerful, a version of herself that doesn't need anyone's approval to be valid. A woman who chose herself finally. By the time we reach the latest chapters in this story, Cody isn't the loud, confident patriarch we saw in the early seasons. He's not the man balancing 4 wives and bragging about building a family kingdom, no. What we're watching now is a man unraveling alone, bitter and overwhelmed by the weight of everything. He's lost. His only remaining connection is Robyn, and even that feels strained at times. The family he once boasted about, fractured beyond recognition. There's one episode in particular that still sits with me. Cody breaks down completely. He's crying, talking about the grief, the confusion, the regret. He says he doesn't know who he is anymore, that he feels like a failure. And honestly, that moment was raw. It wasn't performative, it wasn't defensive, it was just real. You could feel how much it hit him that his kids don't come around, that his wives no longer trust him, that everything he built fell apart, and maybe, just maybe, it was because of his choices. But here's the hard truth. Regret isn't the same as accountability. Feeling sorry is easy changing, showing up, rebuilding that takes effort. And so far, Cody still seems stuck in a place where he's more focused on how much he hurts than on how much hurt he caused. The trust is broken, and some wounds may never fully heal. The kids who needed him, they raised themselves emotionally. The wives who stood beside him, they left not out of hate, but because they were tired of being invisible. And while Cody sits in the ashes of the family that once was, the final question remains. Will he ever do the work to be the father and man he claimed to be? Let me know when you're ready for the closing act.